What's up, guys? Shadowbanned Domz here, and I am ranking every single broken OP spec in 12.0.5 right now. You guys better stick around for this. If you want to follow along, just follow my mouse. You'll see me go like this throughout the video. That means that's the spec I'm on. And in case you're wondering why you should trust my tier list and not your favorite streamers, it's very simple. I main Destruction Warlock. That means every single broken, overtuned, meta comp in existence tries to delete me instantly. And if I don't react, I'm gone, just like that. And when you play under that kind of pressure every single game, you learn real quick what are the meta specs, what are the meta combos, and which specs are actually strong and which ones just look good on paper. All right, so let's get into the tiers. And the reason why there's a God tier unlocked and we're not doing the A plus A is because the floor has risen. What I mean by that is that the base floor for DPS classes in general has risen. So healers have been falling. What that means is we're coming into a burst meta where DPS and God tier specializations have more agency over the game than the healers that usually take this role, right? With the big Mistweaver nerfs, we'll talk about it. So for Devastation, the reason why it's coming in the #1 spot is because it is unstoppable. It counters every single melee in the game. The damage is absolutely insane. The consistent damage and the burst and the dragon stuns, the double dragon stuns you get, swing the momentum in your favor or not every single time. They are absolutely playmakers and they're absolutely decimating people, and they're the perfect teammate to have with another meta spec. Okay. So for BM Hunter, BM is absolutely top meta god. And the reason why is because there's no sacrifice on damage uptime. Pair that with its tankiness. It didn't get hit with any bug fixes like MM did. That means it got off unscathed. It's going to be a lot harder to kill than MM. And not only that, you've also got much better kiting capabilities, and you also have some pretty good burst damage. You're basically what Demo wishes it could be. So you're the better Demo, the true pet class master, the BM Hunter, the god. All right. Now for Fire Mage and Frost, it takes two to tango. Are you going to play with fire? Or are you going to play with ice? Either way, you can't go wrong. With the nerfs to Hunters coming in hot, aka aim shot, it's going to pseudo buff mages. And what I will say is that fire combust is auto win and dampening. When you see that dampening timer, it's an oven getting turned on. When a fire mage is in the arena, you better kill that mage or his partner before that oven's preheat turns to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, now what we need to do here is and the Frost Mage is going to be losing one charge of Ray of Frost. It's still going to be just as deadly, just not deadly times 2. It's still going to be a very powerful position to win. So Fire and Frost are going to be god tiers. They close out games by themselves. Okay, that's why they're going to be warranting that spot. Now, when it comes to Windwalker, it did get some minor nerfs and some slap on the wrists here and there. Minor crit nerf to its maximum output. With that being said, it's still absolutely decimating people. People are not ready for the on-demand Zenith goes. And with those big rising sun kicks, you can't be stopped. With that being said, you're very slippery as well. Very hard to stick a Windwalker. And you do have some very nice outplay capabilities for one-on-one against melees. So Ret Paladin is also a very heavy hitter. The reason Ret Paladin is on God tier, guys, is because it's got an answer for everything. It's a universal master kit class, and it's got some very big damage. I'm still running the old school Dawn Light on mine with my 30-second ashes. Everybody's melting to light. It's delicious. And I have no problem keeping uptime on casters. So Ret Paladin is a king and a god. Now, Holy Priest. It's been climbing up the ladder for a while. It's gone unnoticed, but this time it is noticed. The AWC might be putting some spotlight on it, but we've known this for a while. It's a burst healer, recoverer type spec. Now that we're leaning more into the burst meta and less consistent pressure, this is why you're seeing the specs shift into big damage dealers in classes that can put the lights out because the healers are struggling. And right now, the Holy Priest is not struggling because with big Serenity heals, you'll be able to maximize somebody's HP. And right now, the pet peeve of top DPS mains is when our HP bar never goes back to full. It's very, very annoying. So Holy Priest can actually accomplish that. Now, Assassination Rogues, I told you to hang on to your seat a long time ago when they were B tier. Now they're all the way up to God. And I'm going to tell you why. Their damage is unstoppable, especially with a lot of people, they don't see it coming. Now, a lot of people are putting all their eggs in one basket into a full mastery build. Now, it's fine, but if people start getting quick with dispelling those poisons and things like that, you're going to wish you didn't run full mastery. I assure you that. But the choice is yours, the red pill or the blue pill. Either pill you take, whether you go down the rabbit hole or continue to live in the matrix, you're going to have a good life. Because Assassination Rogue is a god tier specialization, 100 to owing people inside a kidney. Nobody can stop it. Now, when it comes to sub rogue, you're doing the same thing but more frequently with less horsepower on the top end. So what I mean to say is you're a king and you're a top contender. It's the name of the game is SWAT, rotten swaps. Putting pressure on whoever you want. It's really nice. So with that being said, I'm cool with sub right there. We already know that. Now enhancement. Doom wins Slayer. Absolutely putting people to bed. It's going to take you out to the cleaners and wipe your ass out. It's just too powerful. Enhance cannot be stopped. Its Doom wins burst window can send it on 2 or 3 people before it runs out and everybody's done so. It's just too powerful. It's pretty good self heals, but it just can't be stopped. And it's auto win and dampening. You're not gonna out heal Ascendant's pressure, especially with all these healers struggling. Doom wins is a perfect way to close out the game. Arms Warrior, I told you guys to stay loyal. A few tier lists back and a few updates back. Well, guess what? Now you're a god. I told you that damage would start to spiral out of control. You've got the ignore pain buffs making you more tanky, closing on the window of weakness when it came to dying in the middle of the map from casters. Now you're not going to die that easily. So now you've got some defense and you've got some more breathing room to connect. Because of that, with the recent buffs to Bladestorm damage on Slayer's side by 20%, we've also got some more flat buffs to Mortal Strike across the board type thing a few times at that. A little bit less on the Demolish, but it's okay. Arms Warrior is absolutely ending planets. So we'll leave that there. Frost DK is a very top contender. The reason why is because it's absolutely ending games. That's why I said our floor has risen. It is an S tier specialization. It is the best DK spec you can play. And by the way, you unholy DKs, don't come start running a Frost DK now, you flavor of the month rerollers. I've been a Frost DK through and through for the last 3 expansions. You're just showing up since yesterday. So don't start flexing on Frost like you're doing some shit though. But yes, Frost DK is closing out games. And it's very, very juicy. With the Scythe of Doom. So for Boomkin, it has been climbing up the ladders. I will say I'm pretty comfortable with there. The damage is starting to show a little bit better now from what I hear. And it does seem to be doing a lot better. And plus new haste values coming out. We got a little bit more buffs to our weapons and things. 298 weapons, got more power. Boomkin's coming in a little bit better. It tends to scale pretty good with stats. Same with Feral. Feral you're pretty tanky. You're doing some good damage. The damage starting to line up pretty nice. You will close out games. So you are an S tier specialization. You are. You've got answers. You've got defense. You've got it all. Right? Mistweaver Monk, you've fallen from grace. You got hit in almost every way possible. Cocoon CDs. You got hit with Vivifies. You got hit with Throughput, Passive, all kinds of stuff. You're still going to be popping bottles. All right, you're still an S tier specialization, and I worry if they nerf you anymore because then we're not even going to have an S tier basically except for a couple. But we need to see the healers. Do you guys want to see the healers bump up a little bit? Or do you want to see this burst meta start to take over? Because right now these DPS specs are starting to have way more agency than healers. I'm telling you that right now. So for Holy Paladin, great answers. You got answers for everything. We already know this. It's always the question of is there enough throughput on Holy Paladin or not? It did get a 20% WOG buff not too recently. It still probably needs another 10 or 15% throughput. but it's still in a really good spot. It is an S tier specialization. You're gonna win games on Holy Pala. Outlaw, I'm not gonna put you as God like everybody else says you are. I'm not that scared of an outlaw. I'm still not really getting smoked by an outlaw. I'm more scared of an assassination rogue or a sub rogue right now than I am of an outlaw. That's for sure. But apparently they're still getting it in. They're still doing some good damage, but I mean, like I said, there's a lot of micromanaging and things like that. Ellie Shaman. Ellie Shaman is popping bottles. This is my baby number 2. I have a very specific build that works, but it's still lacking. Like, the lava burst could hit harder, man. They keep nerfing lava burst, buffing it, nerfing it, then giving us talents that only give us 60% on the re. Like, it's just stop doing that shit. They do that with Hunter. It's really annoying. They do that with Hunter, and they do that with Unstable Affliction with Affliction Warlock. It's really annoying. It makes our main stuff not hit hard, and then we have to dance around doing all this other bullshit, right? So I can't put on God tier, although you're not going to die if you play it correctly. We'll leave it there. Affliction, same thing. You got a lot of work to do as far as globals. A lot of different things you got to play out. The damage is starting to line up pretty nice. It's doing a lot better than my main spec, that's for sure. I'm pretty pissed off about Destro, but we'll get there. And then Fury. Fury is looking juicy. It's just Arms is doing it better, in my opinion. But you auto win against priests, stuff like that. So you auto counter priests. Resto Druid, I don't know if we should talk about every single one of these guys. Let me just try and come out a couple of points of contention. Did get some nice recent buffs, some big buffs to Resto, but it's just not quite enough. Marksmanship Hunter just got hit in almost every way possible, 10% across the board. You also got hit with a 30% Black Arrow nerf, and then also a 50% precise shot nerf. The precise one is the one that went overboard. Now you're just getting no value out of your nodes, and it just kind of contradicts everything. And you're also pigeonholed into damage nodes now, so you're not even going to be able to take any crit nodes or anything like that. Survival, you did get some boomstick buffs on one of your hero sides. You're still juicy, you're still powerful. I would actually say you're S, but because there's a little bit of skill involved, I'm going to keep you at A. But if you know how to play it, you're at S or possibly even God. Disc Priest is the priest that's struggling right now to heal people in top HP bars. On my Destro Warlock, do you have any idea how much of a nightmare it is to never see your health bar ever go back to full? You're on the run the entire game at 70%, then slowly to 50%, then slowly to 30%. You never go back up. It's an absolute nightmare. It's the last healer I want on my team as a Destro or a caster. I would much rather have a Holy Priest, Holy Powder, and a Mistweaver. I'm not very happy with Disc Priests right now. Shadow Priest, you got swagger, you got some D, you got some damage, you got some moves. You're a great partner. You're great for meta spec partner. So you're a great partner with these specs, and then you start really dominating shit because you start rotting everybody up, and these meta specs can close out the game with a hard swap. So you're perfect for setting up hard swaps, baby. Resto Shaman, you're not quite there yet. You're going to need some more horsepower and throughput. You want to compete with the top heals, especially losing out a lot on your utility. Unholy did just get hit on its burst phase, and its consistent sustain is not really there. That's why it's dropping down to B, guys. I am going to double that up because I do feel like without that burst damage and it's got no consistent, it's not going to be that scary. Havoc Demon Hunter, I don't know if you guys feel me on this, guys. If you're a Havoc main, if the hunt ain't slapping, DH ain't in a good spot because that hunt needs to slap, right? I mean, you got Devourer dropping collapsing stars, almost one-shotting people, and you can do it twice, a meta. And Havoc is doing no damage all game, and then you got maybe the hunt or two, and it's not even doing anything. So I'm not worrying. You could fly in the air. I'm not worrying cheap tricks or gimmicks. We're going to leave it right there. And by the way, Devourer, by the way, guys, Devourer spec is actually a God tier specialization right now. Devourer. It's closing out games. The defensive buffs it got are coming in hot. And it is a top contender, and it's a great meta partner. Okay, and we're going to close it out. Augmentation, not worth talking about. Still not quite there. Arcane, you're going to get kicked and locked out, and the damage is very predictable at Arcane Surge. Demo, you did just lose your Fell Lock, so now you're on Imp, and I don't even know if the Imp dispels. And then this is my top main. I'm not giving up. I'm pissed. Chaos Bolt, Haunt is hitting harder than Chaos Bolt right now on Affliction. And not only that, Chaos Bolt is not doing the damage it should. We got too many nerf nodes. And then also the Blackened Soul nerf, it was absolutely decimating us now that eye level and HPs have increased. I am triple dotting people up, and Blackened Soul is doing no damage when I'm hitting Malevolence. Their HP is not even going down, even in dampening where I had an edge before. So that means you have to land bolts or no pressure is happening. And against these full melee lobbies that know how to bait and hold their kicks, and they're going to make you work to get those bolts off, it becomes a problem and it becomes very difficult. Okay, and pair that up with our lack of defensive, it's back to getting looked at and we're globaled. If you don't port at 0.1 seconds, you're getting globaled. At least with Affliction, you have the bigger Dark Pact. With Destro, we don't even get that. So we're getting absolutely smoked. And Drain Life is not going to heal you through 2 meta specs dumping on you. Okay, so we'll leave it at that, guys. I want to see some Destro buffs. You already know I'm vouching for my main. I'm not putting it at the worst because it's secretly the best. I'm putting it at the worst because I actually, for the first time in my life, I went 2 shuffles in a row and actually got ROFL stomped. Now, I don't know, call it a bad healer or what. I'm going to take some agency into myself. I mean, I went 2 and 4, and I went 1 and 5, right? But I absolutely got stomped by these OP meta spec combos. So, and it's all these ones right here, guys. These are all the problem right here. If you want to own some people, these are the God tier, and that's why they're on God tier, because they're ending games by themselves. They need nobody else. That warrants being a god. I'll see you later. I hope this helps you pick your main for 12.0.5.